So this presentation will be over volume. And volume is the measure of space inside of a three-dimensional shape. So volume is, you can calculate the volume of a pool, you know, how much water is inside of it. So we'll be calculating today volume of a cube. So we have a cube down here, we have a cylinder down here, and then we have a cone, and we have a sphere. Typically I think of a cube as something like a dice, and then for a cylinder I always think of a can of Coke of some sort, and then for a cone I always think of the bottom of an ice cream cone, and for a sphere I always think an example would be Earth, or you know, a basketball. Those are all the shapes. So volume, each different shape has a different equation. So the volume of a cube, the equation is volume is equal to length times width times height. And so for a cube, they're all the same length. You see our L here is length is 5, our width is 5, and our height is 5. So here, if we were to try to plug in our numbers, L here, let's say this is 5 centimeters, this is centimeters, and this is centimeters, we would have 5 centimeters for our length times the width is 5 centimeters, and our height is 5 centimeters, so we had 5 centimeters. So 5 times 5 is 25 centimeters squared times 5 centimeters, and when we have 25 times 5, we get 125 centimeters to the third. When we calculate volume, our endpoint is always going to have, our unit of measurement is always going to have to the third power, which just means cubed. And so the volume for a cylinder, what we're really doing is we're saying, we see that we know how to calculate an area of a circle. We know area is pi r squared, and if we look in the formula, we have pi r squared. So we just calculate the area, then we times it by how tall our circle is. So if our radius is 3, the distance from the center of the circle out, and the height, how tall is, if we're dealing in inches, all we have to do is write the equation V, which is volume, is equal to pi r squared h, where r we know is 3 squared and h is 5, and we know pi is pi. So 3 squared, I'll do 3 squared down here. 3 squared just means 3, this number 3, we multiply it 2 times. So we have 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 to the squared is just equal to 9. So this is 9 here, and we have 5 pi. And 9 times 5 is 45, and we know pi really is 3.14. So we actually have to multiply these two. We multiply pi, which is 3.14, and we times it by 45. And when we do that, we get 141.3, and we know our units is in inches, so we have inches to the third. Alright, so volume of a cone. So the volume of a cone is, volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. So we know our radius, let's say our radius is 2, and our height is 3. So all we're doing is plugging in our radius and our height. So we have 1/3 pi, r is 2, so we have 2 squared and h. And let's say we're dealing with feet. So we have 1/3 pi, and let's do 2 squared over here. 2 squared is just saying we have 2, this number 2, multiplied 2 times. So 2 times 2 is really 4. So 2 squared is 4. We have that here. And our height, we know height is 3 feet. So we have 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. We have 1/3 times 3.14 times 12. And so when we do that, we can put it in our calculator. We'll put 1/3, then we times it by 3.14, then we times that by 12, and when we do that we get 12.56 feet to the third. Remember, we always have our measurements cubed in volume. And volume of a sphere, it is volume is equal to 4 divided by 3 pi r to the third, and the only variable we need to know is the radius, so of the circle. So this is the circle of our sphere, and let's say our radius is 3 feet. So we have 4 divided by 3, we have pi, and we know our radius is 3, so let's say 3 to the third. And so let's work out 3 to the third here. 3 to the third is saying we take this number 3 and we're going to be multiplying it 3 times. So we have 3 times 3 times 3. The first time we do 3 times 3, we get 9. Then we have another 3, so we have 9 times 3, which is 27. So 3 to the third is equal to 27. So we have 27, 4 to the third, pi, times 27. And when we put that in our calculator, 4 to 3, that's 4 divided by 3, we times that by 3.14, and then we multiply that by 27, and we get 113, and then we know we're dealing with feet, and we know it's going to be to the third. And the flag of the day is the US flag. This will be for chance.